Guys, I almost made a huge mistake, but don't worry. We know. It's actually true for once. For how many times combined we've picked Detroit this season, Jake has finally picked the correct week in which the Detroit Lions won a football game, and we could not be happier because our team is such a dumpster fire right now. How you feeling about the Lions, Jake?
I'm feeling great about the Lions. You can pick them every single week for 13 weeks, but when you finally get it right, there's no better feeling than that, and especially against Minnesota, because if there was any week for them to get that one dub, if it is one dub, which that still may be up for question, it would be against Minnesota on a game-winning touchdown, last play, walk-off touchdown. Yeah, it was great. And to see the Lions coaching staff and players just celebrate that like they won the Super Bowl was all the more amazing.
I feel like all the games that caught my attention the most this weekend, I'm about to rip into coaching on. But let's start with Dallas and New Orleans because that's a game that I barely watched, and just let's get into it.
Yeah, before that game, I started Taysom Hill in fantasy that this week or last week. And going into that game, I saw a tweet that was like, Taysom's going to throw 4 interceptions and have like 25 fantasy points, isn't he? And he threw 4 interceptions. He had 20 fantasy points, though. So I know that we don't talk fantasy football. I just thought that was funny. And yeah, there was a Taysom Hill performance. I mean, he's not that great of a polished passer. And hearing Joe Buck and Troy Aikman talk about how he could develop into one at the age of like 39 isn't really giving me much hope for like the Saints' future at quarterback if it isn't going to be Jameis. Dallas's defense looked good, and I mean the run game for Dallas, specifically Tony Pollard, very polished. Zeke, though, yikes.
What? Come on, just give Zeke a little bit more hate on our channel. Why not? I mean, we've bashed him plenty. We can do it a little bit more. You know what's funny though? Going back and watching the highlights for this game, like just since it was always close, like it wasn't registering for me. This is almost like a stupid, ridiculous reference that nobody's going to care about at all. But I remember the Ryan Fitzpatrick-led Jets going to Kansas City like a while ago. It was a game. Fitzpatrick either threw 6 or 7 interceptions in the game, but it was like if you just watch the highlights like I did for this game, it's like it's not registering in your brain how many interceptions are getting thrown because the game somehow is like still relatively close in the end. What did New Orleans win by 10? Or sorry, not New Orleans. Dallas win by 10 in the end or something?
Something like that.
And it was just like it never really got terribly out of reach for how many turnovers Taysom Hill had, which just was a really interesting piece of it. So, I mean, talking about that, I mean, obviously, you get those Taysom Hill turnovers down. I'd really like to see where this game goes for either of those teams. So I'd say it's a little bit of a letdown game for both of those teams. If you're a Dallas fan and you see 4 turnovers from the other team, you probably want to win the game by 3 scores, not just a close 2. And from New Orleans' perspective, it's like, well, geez, if we didn't turn the ball over, we would have had a chance in this game. So I don't know.
Yeah, if they have Trevor Siemian, do you think they win that game, New Orleans? They start Trevor Siemian?
I don't know if they move the ball enough, to be honest. Still,
yeah.
I mean, he still moved the ball. That's the thing. It's just eliminating turnovers is the tough part. You know, risk reward always something that's tough to manage in the NFL. Ready to move on to Indianapolis and Houston.
Yeah, Indy steamrolled them, and it sucks because it seems like Davis Mills is gonna start the rest of the season. Now because Tyrod had this bad game, and David Culley's just like cleaning house before he gets fired at the end of the season. Like he's just doing everything he can. I feel like the management told him like you got to win 4 games or 5 games for us to not fire you, and he's like, well, I got to do something here, and I don't know if benching Tyrod is the right thing, but that's what they're going with, and Indy looks like they can actually be a problem in the playoffs. They're getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, the Jonathan Taylor, it's hard because right when Derrick Henry eventually comes back from his injury, he may pull the attention away from Jonathan Taylor immediately at the running back position. But obviously, This is a pretty one of the most solid cases for MVP considerations we've seen from the running back position in a while from a name not named Derrick Henry. That's really the key in all that, but still, he's playing out of his mind. Not surprised to see the Colts run away from this game. And getting back to your Houston point, it is very funny to come back to the point with Houston talking about David Culley again, just being like, oh, yep, what I said this offseason, he literally got hired to get fired. And it just feels like it's the truth. And I just, man, I would love to know, like, 30 years down the line, when this information comes out, like, finally everybody can just have their tell-all on whether or not he actually was hired just to be fired. But, it's just going to be like some backdoor thing that somebody will finally leak out, but nobody will actually reveal to me. But it's something I'd love to know right now.
It really seems like the Texans made the move to hire David Culley and like, oh, we can get like Eric Bieniemy or Brian Dable or Joe Brady like next offseason. Now Joe Brady's fired. And Brian Dable and Eric Bieniemy have not looked too sharp in their coaching. So
Bieniemy, right now, if we're talking trends, Bieniemy's headed in the right direction. The funny thing is, two of those names.
It just seems like the total Texans move, where they might even be stuck with David Culley. Not stuck with him. I don't want to say that. David Culley's given it the best with what he has. Like he's won games with an S at the end. Yeah.
Take that for what it is. Minnesota at Detroit.
Now a team that has won a game with no S at the end. The Lions. They finally did it. Dan Campbell and his little band of misfits, they did it. And against Kirk Cousins, because if there's any team that could just play down to the Lions level for 4 quarters of football, it is the Minnesota Vikings. And without DeAndre Swift, too, which blows my mind even more that the Lions were able to pull this off. They did it without arguably their best offensive player on the field. So that's crazy. And yeah, I'm just so happy for them. I'm happy for Dan Campbell, happy for all those guys. It was great.
They're going to kick us when we're down, and they're going to kick us when we're down, and they're going to kick us when we're down, and they're, just that playing on repeat in my head is just amazing. Finally, it's over. The pain, the suffering, it's over. Go Lions. That was awesome. But also, seriously, not taking anything away from the Lions, because they scratched and clawed for this win all season. They've been this close so much, and they finally got one. But good God, Minnesota. Oh my, man. It changes on a yearly basis, like who we actually. There's some mainstays in terms of guys that like are obviously always near the top. Like if these guys were available, I would always want to hire them as head coaches. But really, you get out of that tier, and it starts to be a lot of I don't know. It's really on a yearly basis. Good God, Minnesota's coaching staff this season has looked like about as bad as the second grade Pee Wee team behind my yard. That's not even a real affiliated team, just a bunch of kids, and one of them says they're the coach. Like I have no idea who's running the show. It's a disaster, and it doesn't seem like they have any scheming going on at all. How in the world do you? It's the last play of the game. I wasn't going to go into specifics, but it's the last play of the game. It's obviously the last play of the game. They have to go to the end zone here. They're down 4 points. What do? We line our DBs up like 2 yards deep in the end zone at the snap. What is there any attempt to win there? I don't know. I'm not a coach in the NFL, Jake. I shouldn't say anything.
No, it's just one of those things where I don't know if I'd let it slide, but I can't let it slide that Mike Zimmer is a defensive head coach. He's a defensive-minded head coach, and he allows that to get called, and he sees it on the field, and he's thinking, this is our best shot to win here. We call this play. it, like, I get you're playing the Lions, and it feels like every play, like, you could just call anything, and it's like, yeah, we have a chance to, like, do something here, obviously. But you call that, and you're just thinking, yes, Jared Goff has no ability to get the ball to any receiver, and any receiver has no ability to catch the ball here.
I mean, I think it's best shown by like what we saw on Monday night. Not talking about. I'm gonna avoid the Bills at all for now, but like you're literally saying like this guy, like he is a defensive minded head coach. He should know how to control his defense. I mean, and then we watch like the best coach of all time. Do we really actually think that Josh McDaniels was sitting down deciding, hey, I want to run the ball 98% of the time tonight?
Oh, no.
It's completely the head coach.
Josh McDaniels was sitting there with an iPad looking over the one pass that Mac threw for the whole game before he threw the two at the end.
And it's just like, man, if the best head coach in the world can actually still have that much of an impact on both sides of the ball, it's pretty embarrassing to not have your one side of the ball prepared. I'm completely on the same page with you. But we love you, Detroit. New York Giants at Miami.
Yeah, my lock of the week. I picked the Dolphins, or locked the Dolphins in this one. This was before, I probably wouldn't have locked this one because it seemed like a cop-out at kickoff where it's like, oh yeah, Mike Glennon's starting. And now Jake Fromm's going to be starting next week because of how bad Mike Glennon played in this game. Yeah, but like you told me when this game was going on, Mike Glennon was posting some all Madden stats here, not
early in the game.
Yeah, early in the game, not a ball was touching the ground because he was either throwing completions or picks. Yeah, but still, it's the same story with the Giants. They just have such a depleted roster. Not because they don't have talent, it's just all the talent is hurt. And, I mean, Miami is getting hot now. Like, they're streaking. Tua is throwing ducks and guys are catching them. So, I'm not going to hate him on there.
Well, no, the key is to take your rubber ducky throwing quarterback and only have him throw the rubber ducky about 2 inches down the field. Because it's impossible to throw the ball like this 2 yards. It's just like you have to.
He's getting 8 yards he's getting 8 yards of completion. He's averaging 8 yards of completion. You can't hate on him there. Sure.
Yep.
7.5 of it's rack.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9 of it's after the catch somehow. Yeah, no. Okay, Miami. You got lucky in terms. They got real lucky. Them and the Colts. I mean, the Colts have actually beat some solid competition here. But yeah, no. In terms of like getting the tough end of the stick early in the season and having it cooling off a little, them in Indianapolis, Miami's been even more so lucky with that. I'll be interested, even though some people seem to believe that they're going to be able to make the playoffs. With this schedule they've got in front of them, I don't think it's as easy as some people predict because it seems like there's five. Is it 5 games left for them? It seems
their bye
like
week is this week, so yeah, 4.
It's only 4.
They got 4 games. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems like 2 of them are guaranteed losses. Just if I remember correctly, like they're tough matchups, and I really have a tough time seeing Miami pull them out. But it's like the other ones are like, and I don't know if like, what would they be then? 8 and 9? I don't think that's getting them in. So. That's just what I got to say on Miami's future outlook.
They're fighting for the 7th seed, and the unfortunate thing for them is the Bills are also fighting for the 7th seed, and the Bills beat them twice.
Yeah.
So
that's tough for them. You ready to move to Tampa Bay and Atlanta?
Yeah, not really. I mean, like, I'm ready to move away from it as soon as we get there, because, yeah, what went down is what we thought would go down, really.
Whoa. We got an Atlanta pick 6 right before half with a big man.
Yeah, okay. Still, Tampa took care of business. It was nothing out of the norm, really. I feel like out of all the games that were played last week, that was the one that I don't want to say you could pencil it in.
I mean,
You could pencil it in because you can erase pencil, but I would even go so far that you could write this one in pen that Tampa was going to win it.
I know that like we it's like okay, they still ran away from Atlanta. It's the same result. But like looking at the matchup straight up, like the New England Patriots, who besides us, seemingly before the season were like, not expected to do much, be like a middle of the road team. Not what we said. Make that very clear. Not what we said. We've gotten this 100% right. So, whenever we get something right, we got to sell that to the audience. But with that being said, you look at this matchup against Atlanta. Both of them went into Atlanta's building. And it's just like this tendency that the Buccaneers seem to be trending towards of like making either a few mistakes or just not playing efficient enough. And it's like even a team like New England's roster is not loaded with talent, but man, I have a tough time like looking at this matchup. And I mean, we can talk about New England and Tampa Bay head to head specifically, but really just like where Tampa sits in terms of the NFC, I don't know how great they are. And then even if you want to talk about New England versus Tampa Bay, like straight up, I don't know. You may want to say like New England's like I don't know right now playing a lot better football, and you would think if they matched up head to head right now again, it'd be a very interesting game, and it was an interesting game the first time they played.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can leave that there. Then surprisingly, I guess entertaining game of the week, maybe not. I mean, whenever Gardner,
I don't think you even have to put the maybe there. Yeah, this game
whenever
was
Gardner
really
steps on the field, it's always interesting. Philadelphia and New York Jets.
This game just like showed me how much it sucks that Jacksonville traded Gardner to the Eagles and not the Lions. Because it would be so much more fun if he was on the Lions. Just him and Dan Campbell together, and their personalities would be awesome. And also that like he played great in this game, but I do think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than him, and Jalen Hurts is coming back. And they said he's going to be the starter. Yeah, it was a fun game. Zach Wilson looked better than I like last remembered watching him. I did watch this game pretty closely because of how like entertaining it was and the scores were going, but back and forth. Zach Wilson looked better. I'll give him credit there. He's looked better than how he looked earlier in the season, even in the middle end of the season. So if he can end on a strong note, that'll be good for the Jets and their hopes for a future, especially with 2 potential picks in the top 10.
Yeah, I still just want to like I'm sorry. I mean, like I'm just really like falling off track with this game cuz I mean, the Jets, I feel like we're let me ask you this. Are the Jets done this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Philadelphia's chances
Slim
20% maybe.
Yeah, they have a chance. It's not like the Jets where it's like they're just waiting until they're eliminated, basically.
You're right. Most of this game came down to like the fun with Gardner. I just wish he got sent to the other PA team. I think like right now Pittsburgh, how much more entertaining. What chances would Pittsburgh have if at the beginning of the season Pittsburgh was like, "Hey, bring him in"? Like I don't know. I would love to see that team with some sort of like mediocre quarterback right now that's not old man Big Ben.
I would not be surprised if Philly is able to flip Gardner this upcoming offseason to a team like Pittsburgh, because Big Ben is apparently done now from what he said. But he's done with the Steelers. He's not done with the NFL.
I love the specificity there. I'm just always, it's just Mike Tomlin came in and Big Ben was already there. What does Mike Tomlin want to do when he finally like gets involved in picking the next guy? That's really what I'm interested in. I just really wonder what his thought process is there, because that's going to be really enlightening in terms of a guy that is in that tier that I mentioned earlier of like those top guys that I would always like be like, I would want to hire this guy immediately if he ever became available. Him, Harbaugh, Belichick, and a few others. But it's just like, man, I want to see what he chooses, because I don't feel like it would be Gardner, but at the same time, like, that's the fun of it. We haven't gotten to see who it would be, but for some reason it seems like all the backups always end up being those tall, immobile guys that just it's like, is he gonna go for another one of those?
Yeah, he
Elway was more athletic though.
No, I'm saying like how Elway as a GM for the Broncos was picking QBs like Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler. Just like, who's the tallest guy in this draft? All right, we're taking him to play QB for us then.
Landry Jones, baby. Mason Rudolph. We love them all.
Duck Hodges.
And I just took Philadelphia New York Jets and said nothing about him. Yep. Sorry, guys. Maybe
Philly,
we'll.
Up.
Yeah, I mean, Philly. What you should take out of that conversation right there is that you still have some hope this season.
Yeah.
Something.
Run game looks good. Run game looks real good. Dallas Goedert looks good. He's going to earn that contract.
Yes. Arizona at Chicago.
Yeah, this game was miserable. I mean, the weather was miserable, and as soon as Arizona just like went down the field and scored, and then had a stop on defense or forced turnovers against Andy Dalton, and then went up 2 scores at that point, I was like, yeah, I was on the phone with you, and we were talking about this. I was like, yeah, Chicago can't throw the ball. They have to run it with David Montgomery. They're down 2 scores. They're not going to get back just running it with David Montgomery. They're done. And the game was over in the first quarter when that happened. And that's just, like, at no point in this game was I thinking, oh yeah, Chicago could come back. It was like, nope, this game's done now.
You know, that's why I made sure to pick a game in Chicago when I head there that I know that the opposing team will not be a way to pull away in, and that's why they'll be facing against the Minnesota Vikings when I head there. Sorry to interject that point, but you know, just a little fun to have those 2 crappy NFC North teams with the very large annoyances attached to them talked about. But yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It didn't even need to be Arizona in this game. It could have been a variety of teams that could have been able to jump out to a 14-0 lead over Chicago here, and they wouldn't have been able to get back into the game. Chicago's been one of, I would say, top 20% in terms of like just disappointing teams this year. You know, just not like top 6, maybe probably top 5 teams this year. That's just like,
maybe even top 3 with just how much you and I were excited for Justin Fields and the
just
hype just surrounding him, and then that just falling flat.
What they should have for a defense means that we just needed to see some competency on offense, and it just hasn't happened at all.
Mm-hmm.
Other teams that we talked about with similar ideas to them, Washington, over the season, even though we haven't talked about it much, they have been working back towards getting to that point they were at before, like getting that defense back together. Chicago has not basically shown anything. Their offensive genius of a head coach, just like Minnesota's
still
coach,
there. He's still there.
Has looked like just about one of the worst coaches in the NFL this year. That's the new qualification that I need to throw on anything where I talk about coaching. I need to qualify it within this year because it's so variable, like I said. But it's just amazing that Chicago has been this much of a disappointment. On the other hand, Arizona continues to roll, and I feel like this is like the insane thing about Arizona right now is I feel like this has to be like the most quiet we have ever been about the number 1 team in the NFL, like as like a group ever. Like every year we usually focus in on that team that is currently like leading in terms of like record wise, this is the best team in the NFL right now. And for whatever reason, Arizona's just not getting the attention. And I don't know what it is, but they've definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, they've exceeded my expectations by a mile. Like, what they're doing is what I idealized them being able to do. Like, this is like
this is utopia.
This is utopia. This is the Cardinals team without Cliff Kingsbury, but now they're doing it with him there, which is just, I mean, props to Cliff Kingsbury.
I mean, he's the main reason that I'm talking about the thing that I'm talking about with Matt Nagy right now. Is I have to qualify it within the year statement, because anything I saw from Cliff Kingsbury the last few years was not anything that was getting me excited heading into this season. Now, everything I'm seeing the Cardinals do, I'm like, yes, keep doing that, yes. Most of the issues with Kingsbury actually arose from the fact that I didn't think that they were getting enough out of the defensive side of the ball. I didn't hate the offense. But now, not only does it seem like he's fixed the issues with the defensive side of the ball, actually getting those guys to play to their full potential, he's also, and maybe I shouldn't say full potential, because just he's getting them to play well enough, while the offense was already playing at a good level, and now he's taking it to an extreme or a great level. And I just did not see like both those jumps coming in the same year. And they have, which is absolutely amazing. And you've got him doing things unlike any other coaches I've ever seen. I have never seen anybody go no huddle from a play that was snapped to the quarterback in shotgun to get to the line of scrimmage and have the ball snapped to either a running back or a receiver. I have never seen that out of no huddle. That has always had to have been a huddle up play. And it seems simple, but it's another thing that you have to deal with. And the play design was not simple either that they ran there, too. That was just one of the most impressive things that I've actually seen a team pull off and have success with. So I know it's really nitpicky again, but very impressive with the Cardinals. Then this wild like swing game. The Chargers played Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, geez. I don't even want to say anything bad about like Joe Burrow in this game, because he didn't play. He threw 2 picks, but he also threw for 300 yards when the run game wasn't doing anything against the Chargers. Their run game wasn't doing anything against the Chargers. They might have a problem then, which I don't. I'm saying that as a joke because they ran all over the Steelers when they played them. But now you're playing against like the worst run defense in the NFL, and you can't do anything. And also, like this Chargers game is the epitome of Chargers winning football. Yes, Justin Herbert, play out of your mind. All right, we're gonna win this game then if you can keep that up.
I think the running game thing has to be about the fact that they went down early, and then finally, once they got the ball back and it was a 2-point game, when it got to 24-22 and they had a chance to finally come back, they handed the ball off once, and you know what happened? Fumble, scoop, and score. They're back out of the game again, and then they need to start throwing the ball again. I wouldn't worry too much about their run game. And like I said, I don't know if you're. I will say I may be influencing you a little bit with how much I was talking up Joe Burrow while this game was going on, because I know you were not seeing as much of this game as I was, but he was playing absolutely tremendously, and I'm still super excited for him. But he just like Justin Herbert is like taking his team to a new level, and sometimes it's just too much that's put on him. Like sometimes it's just like you can't put all of it on him. And this week, I mean, I can't say it looked like he was getting too much help. Jamar Chase, the guy who looked like he was going to win Rookie of the Year maybe 8 weeks into the season, that's kind of cooled off. I don't even know right now where you're going to go with that, but I mean, geez, if the Patriots take the 1 seed in the AFC...
It's going to be Mac Jones. In my opinion, should be Rashawn Slater, but it's going to be Mac Jones.
That's interesting. I can't once again can't say I've watched enough offensive line play, but I appreciate your vote of confidence. But with that being said, it's just like I'm just like Cincinnati. All of it's on Joey B, and he's doing everything he can with his busted up pinky, which like absolutely huge when it was in the game. Which I would love if you got to see it. Hopefully you got to see it after the game was over. It just looked absolutely tremendous. But with all that being said, great job to the Chargers putting up big points, and when they were given their opportunities to get turnovers, they did convert on them, which is huge for them. I think when this team gets turnovers and has Justin Herbert playing at the level he did, they may be unbeatable. The thing is that you look at those turnovers and it's like, did they force them? Or was it a screw up? They can beat anybody if the other team's willing to screw up, but I don't know. Once again, I'm sorry to keep going back to it, but it feels like a broken record right now in terms of who is the other team in the American Football Conference that we're seeing that is playing at New England's level. There's a lot of guys that could play with them if they played well in specific games, but like they're not consistent enough. And I don't feel like New England is going to make the same mistakes that Cincinnati did in that game to make it so that they were unable to beat the Chargers. And I don't know. Do you see anyone in, let's see, even in these games we got left? In these games we still have to discuss, we've got Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, New England, and then Buffalo, who they just beat Buffalo without really being a big variety showing on offense, plus all the teams we've already discussed. I mean, is anybody really competing with New England in terms of playing with that level of consistency?
Well, you left out Jacksonville, Denver, but whatever. I mean, KC's getting hot right now. That's what it is, but they're not like playing consistently to like at a high level now during this stretch. Like Mahomes is having like he's balling out.
They're winning.
Yeah, they're winning. That's what it is. They're not like consistently just like killing it. Which I mean, you could say the same thing about like the Patriots with this recent game, but you gotta factor the weather into that too. So I don't know.
They knew what they were doing though. I mean, I feel like sometimes teams just don't know like what they're doing. If there's one team that you watch step on the field and you never feel like they don't know what they're doing, how many times have you watched New England play? Even in your life. I don't even need to be like this season. How many times have you watched New England step on the field and be like, they don't know what they're doing?
Like last season when they played Miami, and then 2 seasons ago when they played Miami. Usually whenever they play Miami.
I meant like specific plays, but that's okay. That's a good joke.
The Miami Miracle. Yeah. When they had Gronk out there at free safety. That might have been like the one thing, because that's a pure coaching decision there, where it's just like why do you have him there?
Okay, I'll give you that one, but I have to say I've never just had like a complete head scratching moment with New England that I feel like I've had on a consistent basis with nearly every other team. Not even like random, just like consistent. Because even these teams like Baltimore and Pittsburgh, I question them a decent amount in terms of what they do.
I'll say that they had a head scratching moment for me in the Monday night game, having N'Keal Harry back there as the other receiver. You can't trust dude to catch a ball. How are you trusting him to field a punt? And then it bit him in the backside, having him back there. Because when I first saw N'Keal Harry back there, I'm thinking, he's gonna muff something. They might not lose it, but he's gonna muff it. Just because I didn't know if he like fielded punts in college or whatever, but I'm thinking like he can't catch a ball. How is he gonna field a punt? That was the one thing where I was like, ooh, I don't like that decision to put him back there.
Who'd you want back deep?
I don't. Jacoby Myers maybe. Like, I don't know. Matt Slater.
I just don't. Matt Slater doesn't catch punts.
Yeah, well then just don't put a second back there. I didn't get the point of putting him back there at least.
I just don't think they have the guy to do it. I know it seems crazy, but I don't think they have the guy to do it.
We could talk about that more when we get to that game, and just quit talking about it now because I don't want to take 15 minutes talking about this when we're supposed to be talking about the Chargers and the Bengals.
I mean, it's just, yeah. No, the main thing though is that neither of these teams, in the Chargers and the Bengals, I don't know. It just feels like they both, like, yeah, I like some of the things they've got going, and it's like some weeks they can look really good. I don't think they can do it for long enough stretches to be a deep playoff contender. Jacksonville at LAR, so this one should be pretty quick.
Yeah, I expected the Rams to beat them. I said this would be a bounce back game for the Rams, and it was a bounce back game for the Rams.
I'm nothing to add. Are you okay? Do we need to go longer than that?
I think we can move on.
Washington at Las Vegas.
Yeah, Heineke, team around him, returning to form. Losing Logan Thomas does suck. Especially after, he contributed in this game before he got hurt. Losing Logan Thomas sucks. The Raiders just on that downward slope now. Like, it really just regressing from where they were at one point in the season. But football team, they might be able to make some noise, just sneak in there and play Dallas in the first. Oh, that would actually be really fun because they played Dallas twice in these last 5 games.
Yep, I know.
That would be really fun.
I know. Dallas, them in Dallas, I really, later, I think 3 weeks from now, 2 or 3 weeks from now, they play them in the Sunday night slot, and I wouldn't expect that game to get flexed out. I think it's going to stay there.
Cowboys are playing. Cowboys don't get flexed out.
That's true. But no, I was concerned that game could get flexed out. I was considering going there over the winter break to see that one, but I couldn't do it just in case it got flexed out. But you're absolutely right. Who am I kidding? When are the Cowboys going to get flexed out? But no, the thing that really got me upset in this Washington Las Vegas game was that I just feel like this year I've watched these NFL players, just quarterbacks just throw absolutely beautiful deep balls. And it's like, these guys do need to adjust to them. They're very hard catches to make, but it doesn't seem like any of the receivers have adjusted to any of these balls that are like perfectly placed in terms of where they need to be so that the defense can't get them, but it still at least gives the opportunity to the receiver to make a play. Derek Carr threw one of the best passes of the season on Sunday to give Zay Jones an opportunity to catch the ball in field goal range, call a timeout, and get a field goal off to take the lead back, even though the Washington football team had taken it with 40 seconds left. He did not make that play, and I'm upset. I'm sad with him just because, I was a big fan of his, but still am. But he's just not living up to the hype that I wanted. I wanted to, how hype I wanted him to be. And that was an amazing throw by Derek Carr. And then, obviously the deep ball from Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs that I really think Diggs should have adjusted to and caught too was another one just in this weekend that I wanted to see caught. But the game was very close between Washington and Vegas. I thought these teams were even beforehand. And really, even though Washington pulled it out in the end, I think that these teams are still pretty much basically the same. And I would be happy to see this matchup again in the future, but obviously I don't think we're going to be seeing that because that would mean that both of these teams have to run the table.
Yeah, and playing the Super Bowl.
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
If you had to, here's a fun exercise. If you had to bet on one of these teams to make it to the Super Bowl, which would it be?
Washington team. The football team.
Okay, but think about this now. Washington did just beat Las Vegas, so the logical thing would be to pick Washington, right? Which one of these teams is in the AFC?
Oh, the Raiders are, but still,
you're gonna say that Washington, even if they make it at the 7 seed, is gonna be able to who is gonna be in front of them? They're gonna say the Rams, right? The Cardinals, right? The who else is there? The
I'm just
Cowboys.
thinking about it this way. They both put both of them in the playoffs, all right? The Raiders then either have to like play the division winners, so like, the Chiefs or
The Titans?
the
A
Titans.
crappy beat up Titans team?
And the Colts might be able to overtake them. I don't know, but
They have
have
the
to
2 wins over the Colts still.
Then, like, I think the football team has a better chance to win a wild card game. Like, they have a better chance to get to the divisional round than the Raiders do to get there as well. So I'm just thinking step by step with it.
I disagree. I think the AFC is weaker, and I'm talking about Super Bowl. So I think overall, in total, that means that the Raiders would have the better chance. Baltimore at Pittsburgh, and we haven't even touched on this game yet, and we've been going pretty in depth. And I feel like I've got a lot to say on this one because I did catch a lot of this matchup too.
Yeah, Big Ben, still in his prime. No, Lamar, he didn't play his best football, and I feel like that's been the trend for the past couple of weeks. It's just Lamar not playing great. And the team, like, especially the Browns game last week, where it's just, yeah, Lamar's not playing good, but this team is still, like, helping him get through it. And this is one of those where it's like, yeah, Lamar's not playing great, and the guys on the defense are hurt. Like Marlon Humphrey's out for the year now, which yikes, that hurts them big time. And that plays into one of the factors of why they tried to just go for the kill at the end of the game instead of tying it and playing for OT is just because they had no one else in their secondary. So Harbaugh was like, I mean, if they could just drive down the field because we got no one to stop them. I don't hate that logic. So I'm not going to give credit to Pittsburgh for winning this one. Just because it's Pittsburgh and I don't ever want to give them credit. Baltimore was depleted, hurt. Lamar has not been playing his best football the past past couple of weeks. Hopefully he bounces back soon. Pittsburgh is just coasting at they're in neutral right now. They've been in neutral the whole season and they're just like getting through it. Sometimes though they take the cruise control off and just go 80 and that's the Chargers game, but then they just bring it right back into neutral and cruise control going like 30. And that's how it's been the whole season for them. And they're winning games doing it.
Do you believe that Baltimore, like when Harbaugh says, yeah, this is the reason we did this, do you actually think that I feel like coaches give reasons a lot after the fact? I don't think they're often the truth. I don't because I don't think they need to be, and they'll just pick whichever answer sounds the best. I think he wanted to go for 2 there.
Well, I mean, if it was me, I'd go for 2 there just because it's like, well, Lamar, you have 1 play here. I'd rather either have you make this 1 play than hope to have you make, 10 more in OT for us to try to win it. Like, I'm saying he's struggling, and I don't want to be like part of that group where it's just like, Lamar played like crap. Lamar's a running back or whatever. He almost threw for 300 yards. Threw for like 270 something. I don't want to hate on him for that. He just didn't play his best football, and we know what his best football is like. Like, he can hang 40 on the Steelers if he's playing at his best, and he was playing at the same level that he played a beat-up Browns team that they barely beat 2 weeks ago. And that, like, Pittsburgh's better than that, so that's just what happens. And yeah, I Harbaugh could probably just want to go for the kill there. Like, if there's any coach, it's him. That's just like, yeah, let's just go for 2. I mean, they have the division lead by a hefty. No, I shouldn't say hefty, man. By a decent amount. So you can afford to do that.
Hefty.
Bro, you don't listen. I just said hefty. No, I don't want to say hefty. Decent. You just hear what you want to hear.
I just want to say, this is probably the only game that the other, like, there's other games like the NFL wants to be like this, like Green Bay Chicago example upcoming next week. This is the only game I truly believe is like the realest of real rivalries still, and I absolutely love every time these two teams get together. Even when, like, I hate Pittsburgh and think Baltimore should win by a mile, and it still ends up being close. I love when these two teams get together, and Pittsburgh did pull this one out. I can't really ever say that I'm. I mean, I like, from everything I said last week in our preview, I was like, Baltimore should run away with this. That doesn't mean it's going to happen because it's this rivalry, and we know what happens when these teams get together. San Francisco at Seattle.
Oh, jeez. San Fran, you let me down. And I mean, I think you said this best in our conversation that we had about this game, where you're like, yep, Seattle. All right, our season's over if we lose this one. All right, our season's over if we lose this one. All right, our season's over if we lose this one. Okay, our season's over. Let's go win one.
Yep. The past 3 weeks. Past 3 weeks, we did exactly that. We actually gave them 3 weeks in a row to say, our season could be over this week. No, actually, our season could be over this week. Oh, okay, really, our season is over. They finally lost the one where it's like, no going back. Like, we will be 9-8 if we win out now. What do? Immediately, when the best record they can get is 9-8, they immediately beat a team that is up and coming and playing really well. I don't know what happened in this game in terms of scoring. I know you didn't watch the first half. All of the scoring in this game was in the first half. Just so you know, there was like 45, maybe more points scored in the first half. I think it may have been more than 45 points scored in the first half. Then the second half, it just like died dead, and it was like ugh, trying to get some more points on the board. But it was a wild matchup, and it was a really fun game. But I really, just coming back to that idea, I can't believe that Seattle managed to do that and ruin my lock of the week in terms of being able to beat San Francisco finally, that they're completely dead, in my opinion.
Now, I got a question for you.
I'd love to hear it.
Do the Niners win this game if Trey Lance is the starting QB?
It's a good question. And I don't know if it changes much. But I feel like that's kind of been my opinion all season. I think it's the thing. I think they do some things better. I think they do other things worse. And that's where we've been all season with it. So it probably equals out, honestly. I mean, also, Seattle had the chance right at the end here to go up 2 touchdowns, and then the game really would have been out of reach. And I definitely don't think that I don't think that situation would have been any different if Trey Lance were in the game. I think Seattle still would have been able to have that opportunity in the end in that same position.
All right.
Denver at Kansas City.
Vic Fangio is really setting himself up to get fired at the end of the season. I mean,
see though, like
the defense. The defense is good. Like, holding Kansas City to 22 is good.
Now when 7 of them come from Dan Sorensen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, held the offense to even less then. But yeah, you just let the worst starter in football get a pick 6. Hearing Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth talk about Teddy Bridgewater and say that he's taking more risks, and it's like, oh yeah, that's good that Teddy's taking more risks. It's like, no, it's not. That's not Teddy's brand. Like, I feel like the Broncos would be in a better situation if Teddy wasn't taking risks and he was just playing boring Teddy Bridgewater football. But he isn't now, and he is taking more risks, and that leads to, mistakes. Bad mistakes. Teddy Bridgewater shouldn't throw more interceptions than touchdowns in a game. That's not his brand. His brand is 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. but I don't know. Like it's nice, I guess. But when you're playing the Chiefs, it's like, yes, we have Vic Fangio and his defense. Just hold the Chiefs to 14, and we can hope that Teddy puts up 17. And you have him slinging interceptions.
You know what's funny?
What?
I would be absolutely ecstatic to have a quarterback with Josh Allen's arm strength that plays like Tua Tagovailoa currently is. That's all I want. If I could have that, life would be great. Life would be great. I literally give me any team in the NFL. If I could have that QB, I think I can go 8-1.
Well, you would be kind of screwed because if he's playing like Tua, but he has Josh Allen's arm, he's still just got a strong right arm, but throws with his left. So
you're really smart. Yeah, no, gosh, Denver's a pain to watch. Whenever Denver's thrown in like the primetime slot, I'm just like, ugh. And then like you actually have the opportunity to watch them, and you're just like, ugh. And then they're just somewhere random Sunday, and you're not watching the game, and it's like they're dominating. And it's like, what? Now no one's looking, so you can do well. What?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why did they beat the Cowboys this year? Like what?
No one was watching that game.
I don't get it. Denver, please figure something out. Like, I don't know, but Teddy, basically what I was getting back to there is that what I was describing there, not necessarily as strong of an arm as Josh Allen, just like literally throw the shortest passes in the world, complete like 22 of 26 for literally 120 yards. I don't care how many yards you throw for. I bet you'll be able to win the game doing that. Just if you dink and dunk all the way down the field, and nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it.
And you have Javonte Williams now, who's really just come onto the scene and looks like he can be a like lead back. But the Denver's like, yeah, he was the lead receiver for us and like, you know, the number one guy on the offense last week. Just phase him out of the game plan now.
Yep. All right. The last one. The King Kahuna. New England at Buffalo.
Why, Bills? Why? Yeah, no, build a dome. Build a dome in Buffalo. The weather is no advantage. Like, the weather was a disadvantage for this team. And with that, it's just wild. Like, the percentages and the splits for, like, running and throwing for the Bills is identical to last season, what they're doing, and it doesn't feel like it's that way at all. And I'm getting away from like this game right now, just Bills as a whole. It feels like the Bills are just like not doing what they did at all last year and playing like really, like they are playing really bad, but it seems like they're just at some distant game plan that is nothing similar to what they were doing last year. And I said that, like, I was at that game. I said this when I was sitting in the stands. Like, I would not be mad if the Bills just threw the ball this whole game, did not run it once, and then just let Josh Allen like run it when he wanted to run, because that's going to be what the Patriots are doing. The Patriots, and they did exactly that. They ran the ball the entire game. So what do the Bills do best? What is they just throw it? Just throw it. Like, Josh Allen has the arm to still put it on a rope in wind like that. That's what you drafted him for. That's like the whole, ooh, he's good. He could play weather, all that. Let him do that then. Don't hand the ball to Matt Breida when you're 30 yards out from the end zone and have him fumble. Don't hand the ball to Zach Moss and have him ram into the line.
Hang on. If we're gonna throw all this, like, I'm not even disagreeing with anything you're saying, but seriously, I just need, like, because I haven't heard anyone say it at all, and you know I look at Buffalo stuff, so I just feel like I need someone to either tell me I'm right or wrong. Am I really crazy for thinking Stephon Diggs, one of the guys that is considered one of the best receivers in the league, should come down with that ball on the deep route in the end zone?
Oh, yeah, he should. He should. And the thing is, because we both look at the same Buffalo stuff, uh, people are making excuses for him. It's like, oh, it's really hard to adjust to that and everything. I'm like, yeah, no, but if you're like a top 5 receiver in the league, you should adjust to that ball and make the catch.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. And I mean, the funny thing is I'm also just like thinking about how small, like if you can give us one playback in 3 games this season, and I mean there's multiple of them too. That's the thing that's really hurting me. It's like we've lost 5 games. If you allow us to swing one play by an inch in 3 different games this season, we may win or lose those games.
Oh, yeah,
By that much.
they've lost 5 games. 4 of them have been by 1 score. It's as simple as that, where it's like you give them one more play, they're going to win or tie. And they just haven't done that because in between the 20s, they play like efficient football and can move the ball. And then once they get in the red zone, it's like, oh, no, no, nothing here.
And why is our defense just being like so good? Why is it, oh, we can't have both doing well at the same time? Last year it was oh boy, offense out of this world. Defense, gosh, we hope they slow anyone down for a moment. This season, oh, back to solid defense. Offense cannot be found.
If I would have known that going into this season, that it would be like the defense playing elite and then the offense just playing like good to like mediocre.
Not even
week,
good.
Yeah, just mediocre to bad week to week. I would think that they'd have the record that they would.
Yeah. I can't believe that. I feel like really an element we've lost, not in terms of like pass run ratio, just like depth of passing game. I feel like we've completely lost like a short passing game entirely.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like we're not even attempting to run anything short.
No, it seemed because at least the way I viewed the receiving core or whatever, it's Diggs can run anything, so it doesn't. But he's mainly like a deep route kind of guy. And then you got Emmanuel Sanders who can run the intermediate stuff. Then Cole Beasley's your short guy, and it seems like they've just had Cole run like intermediate stuff all year. Like they don't even look for stuff that's short. I shouldn't say. Josh is looking for stuff that's short. They don't have guys running for stuff that's short. Because when there's stuff there, like Dawson leaking out, he hits him, but every time it's there, he throws it there, but it's usually never there.
But it feels like our short routes now are screens thrown immediately, Diggs hitches, and like that's nearly it. Like I guess you could include some Knox stuff, but then the interesting thing about having Knox work short is like even if he's working short, he may be the most inconsistent ball catcher on the team. In terms of playing a position that actually catches the ball. I don't really want to include running backs in that discussion because that's a whole different thing. But that's just tough. I mean, I don't know. I don't love that, and I still don't hate the pass to run ratio because I don't see a reason to run the ball 90% of the time when we don't have what we need to run the ball. But there's still obvious misses with the passing game, and then once you do work slightly deeper and not have these short routes that I say we're just lacking now, you get intermediate routes and they may be open, but I don't know why it seems like once we work the intermediate stuff more, it seems like we've also had more dropped passes this season, especially in the games that we've ended up losing. I'm just like picturing balls going through people's hands where it's like that should have been caught. that should have been caught.
Mm-hmm.
It's close, and if we caught that, the drive continues, and boom, that's enough to at least tie the game up, if not take the lead. That's tough. And just watching a game, especially against a team like New England, is really upsetting because it's like, man, probably like 6, 7 instances tonight of me being like shaking my head at what the Bills are doing. Maybe 1 instance in New England's regard of me shaking my head saying, what are they doing? Specifically, like you talked about, the N'Keal Harry play. That was my instance for New England. But if the Bills dropped their number from 7 to 5, they still 5x'd the Patriots in terms of number of moments where I was like, what are you doing? And probably win the game. Because what you still need to realize about this, which is crazy, is that even though it's kind of hard to figure out, it's like this team is talented. It's talented, and it's like they're just not nearly getting enough out of it. Meanwhile, a team like New England is probably, in all reality, a mid-level team in the NFL. Last year, they really were a weak roster. There was like nothing you could do about it. Now, they're a mid-level team in the NFL. But guess what? If you have the best coaching in the world on your side, it doesn't matter. And even before the game started, I knew what I just described. Like, Buffalo's roster, definitely better than New England's. But how many head-scratching moments do I expect to have in this game? And lo and behold, it's a lot more with the Bills than it ever is with New England.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough. But I mean, as Bills fans, and this is something that I think gets swept up in it all. And I mean, this is like, it makes me feel good at least. I just see so many people on Twitter and Instagram and everything just losing their minds because the Bills, like, because you know how good they can be, but like the Bills are gonna finish with a winning record, and like everyone is losing their minds. And I get that, but you've seen so much worse stuff. You've seen so much worse stuff. There's no reason for like people to be like questioning their fandom, or like, I'm not into Bills football anymore because of this. Like, come on, man. You watched JP Lossman and like Thad Lewis play QB.
The thing is, we go back to our childhoods. Our rosters were so atrocious. Like, it's not even a question. Like, we shouldn't win a game. We don't deserve to win a game. So, I disagree with you here, because it's like there literally was a time in my life where I was like, man, our team is not good enough that like if we win, I'm ecstatic because like I don't think that we should win a game versus anybody. And that's really how I felt like when I first started watching the Bills. And I think I was right to think that way. Now there's a different expectation. This team is way too good to be what they are. I'm really not on the same page as you. I don't even, and once again, I don't even necessarily know who to throw it on. I think there's so much blame to go around, but yeah, no, it's crazy. On the other hand, we do need to talk about this on video so that it's on record. I already asked you, but once again, Mac Jones, 2 for 3 tonight, beating the Bills. Sorry, not tonight, but a few days ago. 2 for 3. Not a big part of the game plan, but my highest ranked quarterback, and his team is now currently in the lead for his conference. So, will this hurt Mac's resume after the season when he's inevitably named Super Bowl MVP and has led his team, all the way to the promised land? And will this be the moment that people look back to and say he's not that good because he only threw 3 passes against the Bills?
Maybe, I don't know. Just the one thing that I saw on Twitter from like a Patriots beat reporter was like, Mac Jones throwing 3 passes tells more about how bad Josh Allen is than how good Mac Jones is, which I think is like an absurd take. It's like it shows not the lack of confidence that Bill Belichick has in Mac, but the lack of confidence he had in Josh Allen. And I was like, I don't know about that. But I mean, there are going to be people that look at that and be like, really, like they could win with like you could put Daniel Jones back there and they'll win if they only need a QB to throw 3 passes. I don't know. I'm not going to be one of those people. Like he's looked good when he has thrown more than 3 passes.
Okay, here's a more fun one. Okay. What are Josh Allen's stats last night if Josh Allen is the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots instead of the starting quarterback of the Buffalo Bills?
He would finish with like 110 rushing yards and no pass attempts.
I disagree. I'm trying to be serious about this. I think he probably has 7 carries for 55, 60 yards. And I think he probably goes 12 for 15 for 180 yards. And I think they win easily by a lot more than they did.
Well, obviously, because Mac Jones is our quarterback then, and what kind of team can win with him? He's a bum.
No, I'm saying we can still have a second Josh Allen on our team, and the Patriots still walk away with that game.
Well, that's unfair. He's ours.
Just saying. Okay, quickly. Where are we sitting at? How'd you do this week in terms of your game picks?
I went 10-4 this week.
9-5. Upsets?
Upsets, I went 2-1.
Lock.
I went 1-0.
Okay. Your total for the season in terms of all the games?
All the games, 109, 84, and 1. My upsets, 21, 30, and 1. And my locks, 8-5.
Okay. 117 and 76 for all my games, plus the tie. Upsets, 26 and 28. I need to get that up next week. Got some upsets coming in tomorrow's video if you're somehow still watching. And locks now 6-7, sadly. Have to get that back next week. Gotta even
There's
that
one thing I can pride myself on. I'm better at picking 1 game per week than all the games.
Very true. Very true. You all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.